Hey everybody, my name is Jack Kavanagh and I'm coming in from Ireland and I am delighted to be here with you. So, wherever you're coming from, however you're feeling, whether you're anxious or excited, whether you're lonely or feeling connected, whether you're happy or sad, lost or have clarity, welcome into this space. This is a space for you. And in this session, what I'd like to talk about is the power of our breath and mindfulness in managing our emotional and mental well being. Life is busy. Life is running at a pace that we've never run at before. And if we don't take deliberate opportunity to press pause in our lives every now and then, we very quickly get to a place where we can be overwhelmed, where we can feel a bit numb or out of connection, or where we have anxiety building up, or anger or frustration building up, and we don't know really where it comes from. And all of these things are compounded during the teenage years because there's so much happening. We are growing, we have hormones going all over the place. Different parts of our bodies are growing in ways that they haven't before. We are trying to understand how we fit in with the group and if that even matters. We are developing new relationships and letting go of old ones. We're challenging our comfort zone constantly, and it's a lot to take. And if we don't regularly press pause to slow down a little bit and help ourselves to make sense of it, we can totally lose ourselves in all of that. And so, in our overall well being, one of the most important things is coming back to our mental well being and our emotional well being. And so much of that and our spiritual well being can be regulated with mindfulness and breathing. And I think mindfulness gets this perception that it's very complicated. But really, at its core, all it is about noticing. It is about taking a couple of minutes, maybe in the morning, maybe in the evening, but at some stage in your day, to slow down and check in with yourself. You know, we get so much stimulation every single day. We get our phone beeping, we have the TV, we have um, demands from school and at home and in the relationships in our lives. And it's so much stimulation that could be a lot to take. And by actively pressing pause and checking in with ourselves, we can start to understand what are the things that are working for us, empowering us, making us feel well, and reassuring us in our lives. And what are the parts that actually take away, that don't make us feel so good, that make us question ourselves in a negative way rather than an empowering way, and all of these kind of things. And I went through a really challenging period in my early 20s as I left my teenage years and went into my 20s, where I had a spinal cord injury. I broke my neck diving into water, and that left me with about 15% muscle function. My shoulders, my biceps, and my wrists. I have no use of my fingers, and I can't move anything from my armpits down. And that was a very challenging time. And if I didn't have the skill of mindfulness, it would have been even worse. It would have been even more challenging. So, there's a couple of different practices that I'd like to suggest that you could try within mindfulness. The first is journaling. And some people will journal and just write about their day. They'll write down a series of how things happened, what they met or who they met, what they ate, the things that they did. And that's great for just getting it out of your head and putting it on paper. The way that I like to think about journaling is that it's an opportunity to get to know a new part of ourselves every time we open our journal. Or maybe you have it in your phone or on a laptop or a tablet. But every time we open up our journal, that we get the chance to ask ourselves some new questions and to get to know a new part of ourselves. And so I began journaling by asking, how was my day? Why did I get really excited when I met that person? What was it about that person or that situation? Why did I feel so upset and triggered when he or she came into the room? What is that about? And where's that coming from? I'd ask myself, what are the things that I'm excited about at the moment? And how can I bring more of those into my life? And what are the things that are really upsetting me or making me feel um, lesser than? And how can I do less of those in my life? And gradually, I would just start to build a little bit of awareness about myself, about the things that were happening in my life. And it's very simple. Ask yourself questions and take the time to answer them. The second form of mindfulness that I'd like you to think about or consider is simply just noticing. So, slowing down, whether you're sitting outside or in your room, and close your eyes. And first, just feel your feet on the floor, feel your bum on the seat and your back against the back of the chair. Feel your hands on your lap and get a sense in your body if you're feeling tension. Do you feel tension in your shoulders or maybe in your legs or your lower back? And just bring your attention to that. And then think about, can you hear anything? Can you hear the birds singing in the background? Can you hear the dog perfectly coming into the room in the middle of the talk? Can you hear a plane overhead? Or can you hear possibly um, the rustling trees because of the wind? Just bring your attention to the things that you can hear. The dog's footprints on the floor. And as we increase our awareness of the things we can feel and hear, we can then open our eyes and we can look around and we can see what's in our surroundings. What are the things that I can see? What are the colors that are in my environment? What are the shapes or the things that I maybe haven't noticed before? What does the shadow on the wall look like? All of these kind of things. And it's just about noticing. And all this does, these practices, all they do is slow us down a little bit. They give us a moment to pause and to recharge and to become more aware of how we feel within ourselves, what is working and not working in our lives. And all of that gives us new choices because it allows us to see things more clearly as they are. And when we see reality more clearly as it is, we can begin to make choices that are better for us. The final way of doing mindfulness that I'd like to suggest is simply meditating. And the most basic form of meditating is to find a comfortable way for sitting for you, to close your eyes gently, and to just focus on breathing in and out. And what you will notice is that thoughts cross your mind at 100 miles an hour. And the whole idea is not to remove thoughts from your mind, but just to imagine them as though they're in a stream. And these thoughts are just flowing by in your mind. And we don't have to attach to them. We just have to think, oh, wow, that's really interesting. I didn't realize that I was spending so much of my energy thinking about that thing or another thing. That's interesting. And then we let it go. And as we keep coming back to our breath, we use that to remind us to let go of the thoughts, to let them just go by so we can notice them and let them go. And it's so simple. Mindfulness does not have to be complicated. It does not have to take an hour or half an hour. It can take 1 or 2 minutes a couple of times a week. But it's actively taking space to slow down a little bit, to let our mind and our emotions regulate, to get in touch with ourselves in a way that maybe we would or otherwise wouldn't, and to see what is working well, what is not working, how am I within myself, and with that new information, can I make some new choices? So I really hope that that's been useful for you. Every single one of you has an incredible amount of magic within you. And taking those few minutes to slow down on a regular basis gives you the opportunity to express more of that in a way that is meaningful for you. So be good to yourself. You're doing better than you think. And thanks for taking your time to listen to me. Cheers.